All right, so hello again, everybody. Yeah, so this session today will be on describing a map and changes in the past. So this is what you have to do for writing task one. As Jamie said, it's a very common type, so it's a good one to be looking at. So the outline today is interpreting a map, writing an overview. We'll also be looking at key language, and then, as we said before, there'll be time for Q&A at the end. Okay, so we'll just get started. So by the end of this webinar, you'll be able to identify key features of a map, write a clear introduction, overview, and body paragraphs, accurately describe locations, and use passives and noun forms to describe changes. Okay, so just looking at the task overview, so as I've just said, we're describing a map today. How many words do you need to do that? For task one. Yes, good. So everyone knows that's 150 words. How long should you spend on it? 20 minutes, that's right. Yeah, so most of you are saying that, that's good. Okay, and you'll be summarizing the information by selecting key features. Okay, so this is the map that we're looking at today. So I'll just quickly read what you have to do, so the information about the map and what you need to do. So the map below shows the development of a seaside village between 1995 and now. Write a short report for a university lecturer describing the information below. Okay, so there are different types of map you might be given for task one. This is probably the most common. What does this map describe, first of all? Changes, that's right, Abdallah. Yeah, seaside village, yeah, changes. Yeah, the main thing is describing changes, and it's looking at development, environmental changes, the area. Yes, good. So you kind of got that. What's the time period? Okay, this is really important. So just look at the time. So yeah, the 2 years, 1995 and present. So it's past and present. So that's going to have an impact on the tenses that you choose to use here. Okay, so how will this affect the language you use? What kind of language should you use? Yeah, Stephen, it's not really so much about formal. Yeah, thinking about tenses. So past and present perfect. Okay, so we've got the past, 1995, and the present. So you're going to be looking at changes. Because it connects with the present, you need to be using the present perfect. Also, yeah, the passive voice, Rafa, you will be using the passive as well. That's right, because a lot of changes are man-made. Okay, so here's another type of map. So just have a quick look at this one. What does this one describe? Yeah, a village, development of a town. Okay, I mean, some of the changes are similar, but if you look at the years, yeah, the past, yes, exactly. So 2010, yeah, Rafa, so 1930 and 2010 are both in the past. Okay, so the tenses you'll be using for this one will be different, right? So that comes on to the next question, how is it different from the previous map? So both those maps are in the past. That's right. Deeply past, Andre, yes, deeply from the deep past. So you wouldn't be using present perfect for this because there's no present map. Okay, so that is the main difference. Okay, and then we have another type of map here. What does this map show us? So this is slightly different. That's right, Asa. So it's present and future. So you've got University Sports Centre now, and then how it will look in the future. What are the plans for this? So this one is quite different. How is it different? Yeah, so it's different in the sense that you'll use the present and future tenses. That's right. That's the main difference. That's how it will affect your writing. Okay, so going back to the map for today, identifying key features. So as I said before, in this lesson, we'll focus on past to present. Okay, they're the two tenses that you need to consider. What changes can you see? So what changes can you see between then and now? So fish market is gone. Yeah, farmland to golf course. No shops. Okay, the shops are restaurants. That's right. More housing. There's a car park. Less green areas. Golf course. Yeah, so you're getting most of the changes there. What do you think are the most important changes looking at that? Farmland to golf course. Yeah, that's a big change. Anything else? Housing. Yeah, the fish market has been replaced with apartments. Deforestation. That's a good word, yes. Yeah, increase the number of houses. That's right. More housing. So that's a major change. Yeah, anything else you can see? Fishing port is gone. Yes. Okay, so we've got most of them there. How could you group these changes together? Because obviously there are quite a few. Yeah, so yeah, you're still picking out some of the changes. So by area, Mustafa, that's a really good way to do it. So you could just look at different areas of the map and look at, group the changes together that way. That's quite clear. Nature and man-made, you could do that. Direction, that's right. Yeah, so just let's have a look at the 2 years, the two different time periods. So 1995, there was a fishing port and farmland and forest park. Okay, so that's a big change. And then how about the present? More houses, that's a major change, yeah. Golf and tennis courts, that's right. Okay, so apartments and housing. And golf course and tennis courts. Okay, so they're the main changes really. Okay, so now coming on to the structure. Right, as usual, we have the introduction. So what do you have to do in the introduction? Yeah, paraphrase. De la Salle, that's right. Paraphrase. Yeah, so as usual, you have to paraphrase. Then we have an overview. What's an overview? Summarize. Yeah, giving the main ideas. Yes, talking about the main features. That's right. So giving some general points, in other words. Okay, what do you think comes next? What's the next paragraph? Body, that's right. Okay, so body A, details. So this is when we start to go into more detail about specific changes. And body B. Yeah, so some of you asking questions that I'm going to hopefully try and answer as we go along, because there's quite a lot of information to cover. But as we said before, if anything isn't clear, just please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A. Okay, so now let's look more specifically what's included. So the introduction, as we said before, so state what the maps show by paraphrasing the title. Okay, so I'm just also going to give you how much you should write for each section. So this one is 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, and then we have an overview. Okay, so this is making a general statement about 2 to 3 key changes. How much do you think you should write for the overview? One to two sentences. Okay, let's have a look. So it's 2 to 4 sentences. Okay, and then body A. So this is describing one group of specific changes. I think somebody was asking about this before, so I'm going to come to this shortly when we look at that part. How many sentences for this one? So Mustafa says 3 to 4, almost 3 to 5. And body B is the same. So just looking at another group of specific changes. Again, 3 to 5 sentences. And I think somebody was asking about a conclusion. So for task 1, you don't need a conclusion. So this is all you need, just for paragraphs. But you have to include an overview. Right, so just coming on to the introduction now. Okay, so the map below shows the development of a seaside village between 1995 and now. All right, so as we said, we need to paraphrase the question. So what do you do to paraphrase? What are the techniques you can use? Synonyms, that's right, word order. What else? Yeah, synonyms is the main one. Okay, so just put the ways of paraphrasing at the side. Changing sentence structure, that's right. Okay, so let's just have a look. So these are the different ways you can paraphrase. So synonyms, word order, sorry, word form and voice. What do I mean by voice? Yeah, what does voice mean? Active, passive, that's right. So as I said before, for this type of question, you really need to try to use the passive because there have been some sort of man-made changes. Okay, so let's look at it now. How could you paraphrase this? Right, just gonna highlight the words that you need to change. Okay, so the 2 maps. So synonym for shows, illustrates, that's right. So illustrate. 2 maps, illustrate. How the layout of, okay, so a seaside village. So can you change the word order? A seaside village. So you need the same information. The town by the sea, yeah, almost a small seaside town. Yeah, you need to kind of keep the same information. So you could just say a village by the sea. Okay, and then I just changed developments, which is a noun, to the verb, so has developed. Okay, between 1995 and now, how could you change that? In the last 24 years, yeah, that is, I think it's 24, isn't it? Yeah, that's right, you could say that, in the last 24 years, between the past and now. Yeah, this is what we said. So from 1995 to the present day. Okay, and then moving on to the overview. Okay, so in order to achieve a band 6 or more, you have to have an overview. So that's something to remember. So it's quite important. And as I said before, so in the overview, you summarize key changes and the most important features, but do not go into a lot of detail, okay? Because you leave the detail for the next 2 paragraphs. Right, so it's literally 1 to 3 sentences, not too much. Don't go into detail, that's the main thing to remember. Okay, and then start with overall. Okay, so let's just look at this. So overall, it is Okay, which word would make sense here? Evident is okay. Clear, that's right. Yeah, it is clear that. Provision for, okay, something, and leisure facilities. So here you're talking about the housing. So can you think of a word which covers that? Meaning housing. Accommodation, that's right. Yep. Make sure you spell that correctly as well, because so many people make a mistake. Right, it has. Okay, so you've got the first example of present perfect here. Has, which, yeah, could be developed, or increase, that's right. Okay, has increased. Okay, something land, which was. Okay, there's see if you can get the right one. Could be Greenland, farmland. It could be a bit, yeah, it's a verb here actually. So replacing land, this is probably easier now. Replacing land which was, okay, in the past, a synonym for that. A little bit like earlier, formerly, or yeah, formerly is okay, or previously used for. Or once used is good as well, yeah, for farm, for, yeah, agriculture is a nice way to describe that. Forestry and commercial something, what do you think? It could be commercial purposes. Commercial fishing, okay, so if you look at the port, so that's gone, so that's commercial fishing. Okay, so it's really important when you're doing this type of task that you have a wide variety of language that you can use. So we're just going to look at some of that now. So I'd just like you to tell me which box each phrase goes in, or which word goes, sorry, which box each word goes into. So the first one is constructed. Three, that's right. Okay, next one, demolished. Two, yep. Made bigger. One, good. Renovated. Four, that's right. Removed. Two, yep. Developed. One, yes, good. Built. Built is three, yes. Pulled down. Two, yeah. Converted. Four, yeah. Introduced. Three, yes, good. Planted. Yeah, some of you got that one. Three. Extended. One, that's right. Knocked down. Two, yep. Replaced. Yeah, it's four, that's right. Good. Made into. Yeah, that's four, yeah, good. Enlarged. One, yes. Cut down. Two, yeah. Remodeled. Okay, so most of you got that one. So four, yes. Created. Three, yeah. And last one is obviously one, that's right. Okay, so most of those words I think would be familiar, but just make sure you've got quite a few that you can use so you're not repeating words. Right, so let's just have a look at changes that have occurred. So the first one, 1995 and present, what changes can you see here? Car park, yeah, new car park. Okay, so putting that into a sentence. Builders, so think about the verb. So think about the language we've just used before, that came up before. Added, removed. Okay, you're all saying different things. Think about the tense. Remember, it's 1995 and present, so which tense is it? Have built, yes. So it could be have built or have added. So again, just to, yeah, because you're comparing past with now, it has to be present perfect. So when you're talking about changes in this type of task. All right, so looking at how you can change that into the passive, how would you do that? Car park was built, think about the tense. So I'm just laughing at some of your comments. Car park has been added. Okay, let's have a look. A car park, not had, has, that's right. Has been added to the hotel, right? So you don't need to include builders because it's obvious who's added it. You can also use the noun form. Okay, so another change is the, so what's the noun equivalent? Addition, that's right. Addition of a car park to the hotel. Right, so moving on to another change, what changes can you see here? A new, yeah, houses, yeah, so there's more houses, that's right. Yes, number of houses has increased. Okay, so the town council has something, the housing development. Enlarged, yeah, enlarged is okay, or expanded the housing development. All right, so just doing the same as before, just looking at how to change it into the passive. The housing development. Remember the tense, some of you using the past tense. Yeah, has been expanded, that's right. Right, so you really need to make sure that you know the passive very well. So many people make mistakes with that. Okay, and then also you can use the noun form. A further difference is the expansion, that's right. Expansion of the housing development, good. Okay, and another one, what changes can you see here? Removal of the port, yes. Shop change to restaurant, that's right. And apartments, yes, apartments replace the fish market, okay. Let's have a look. So the local authority, something, the fish market with apartment buildings. Yes, that's right, has replaced the fish market with apartment buildings. Again, using the passive, how would you do that? Has been replaced, that's right. Okay, so the fish market has been replaced by apartment buildings. Okay, and the final change you can make is using the noun form. So perhaps the most significant change has been the replacement, good. Replacement of the fish market by apartment buildings, that's right. Okay, it's also important if there's a compass on the map that you refer to that. Okay, so it's there for a reason. So we'll just look at, I'm sure that you know most of these, but we'll just go through them. So what's the name for each compass direction? Maybe starting at the top. North, that's right. And then, so we'll look at actually all of them. So northeast, the next one, east, that's right. Next one. Yep, southeast, that's right. south, next one. Southwest, yes, and west and northwest, yeah. Right, so let's just move on to the body paragraphs now. Okay, as I said before, you need to group details together to make a logical flow, and that can be challenging because sometimes there are so many details, you don't know what to focus on. But there are different ways you can do this. So for example, you can group by the type of change that's occurred, okay? The importance of the change, location, which I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. That's kind of what we're going to be looking at here. So one key change is the, which word makes sense here? Yeah, so the construction of apartment buildings. Okay, so as you can see before in the previous picture, there aren't any apartments. So you need to have something that suggests the change, that change. And then we have a phrase for location on the, so whereabouts are they? If you look at the map, they're not the north. The west side of the waterfront, okay. So as you can see, we're starting at the bottom here. Right, so you just need to pick a place to start and then kind of work around. I would probably do it in clockwise direction maybe. So if you start at the bottom, so the west side of the waterfront, at the site of the something fish market and port. Okay, this is a word that implies that it's in the past. The something fish market, okay, because that no longer exists. Not the south. Okay, the former, I think Ekaterina, I think you kind of got it. The former fish market and port. Okay, in something, several restaurants have been something across the road. Which word makes sense here? So you're adding information. In addition, yes, some of you've got that. Several restaurants have been, so you need another verb in here. Built makes sense. Added makes sense. Yep. So something similar to that. Have been built across the road where, okay, in the past, another word for that. In the past, there were shops. Previously, that's right. So previously there were shops, yes. Okay, the housing development in the something area has also been, okay, which area is that? Yeah, so it's the north, I mean, to be specific, it's the northwest area. Okay, you could probably just say the north, but northwest area has also been expanded. That's right. So something that implies that, or extended, yeah. And then just adding a bit more information about that, some more specific information. In 1995, there were 12 houses in total. Something to 16 in the present day. Okay, you could say increasing to 16. What's another word for increasing? ING. A synonym for increasing. Rising. That's right. Good. So rising to 16 in the present day. Okay, and then another development, so another significant development is the, okay, this is a new addition, yeah. Yeah, so you could say the addition, that's right. It's not renovation because it's not fixing something, it's actually adding something. So the creation of a golf course and tennis courts. Construction is okay as well, Elisa. In the, okay, which area is this? Fabrication is not so common, sort of makes sense. The northeast. Yeah, so you can say either northeast or northeastern area there. Which has. Okay, so again, this is going back to how it was in 1995. So you need some sort of verb that suggests this. Replaced, that's right. So replaced agricultural land and a forest park. A hotel and cafe in the. Okay, which area is this? In the something corner, remain the same. Yeah, good. Southeast corner, remain the same, that's right. Okay, but then it adds another change. So something, a car park has been to the hotel. While is okay. Well, it's sort of okay. It would have to be in the same sentence though. However, that's right. However, a car park has been added. Yeah, good. Okay, so that's it. As you can see, this has 160 words, and if you manage to write an answer like this, you will score a band 9. So it's a good one to kind of try to replicate if you can. A few exam tips for you. Don't start writing right away. Make sure that you make a plan. Make sure you make it as clear as possible. Another thing to remember is don't spend more than 20 minutes on task 1. Okay, because obviously you need time for task 2. Another thing people tend to do is count words, which will take up time. So try to work out how many words you include per line. If you practice a lot beforehand, that should be quite easy. Yeah, I'll go back actually, I'll show you the terms in a minute, David. Make sure you leave some time to check. And obviously make sure that you practice on the official IELTS answer sheet and a range of map types. Okay, and that's it. Thank you. So I'm just going to go back and put those I think you wanted to see the verbs, didn't you? Let's put those up.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Mary. That was a great lesson.
That's
Thank you very
okay.
much. Yeah. Cheers. And well done, guys, for taking part, for suggesting some very good language there. That was really good. So well done, guys. We have been answering some of your questions in the Q&A. And if you do have any questions about the topic today, whether it's describing a map or any general questions related to IELTS, we have some time now to discuss any questions you have. So if you'd like to add them to the Q&A box, we'll talk about them in a moment. While you're writing up your questions, I'd just like to do a little bit of promotion for our writing evaluation service, which we offer on our website, ieltsonlinetest.com. If you're interested in having your writing evaluated and getting some feedback on your estimated grade, you know, what score you can expect, you can your weaknesses, what you can do to improve your writing, as well as an estimated score for each category. So you can find that on our website. I'm just about to put the link to that in the chat. We offer a similar service as well for speaking. So you can book time with a speaking examiner. We'll go through a full mock speaking test with you and we'll give you feedback on your performance. So if you're interested in that, I'll put the link to the chat that should be there now. So yeah. Hope my voice is okay, Mohammed. Hope it's not too chubby. Okay. Yeah. I'll take that as a compliment, though. I think so. Yeah. Let's see. So the link there is in the chat. Hopefully you can check that out. We can take a look now at some of your questions. My screen has just frozen, so I can't actually see your questions just now, but we should be able to get to them in a moment. I know there were a few questions earlier about the number of paragraphs that we should include in task one. So maybe we could start with that one. Mary, could you tell us a bit maybe about the structure of the task one, and like, you know, what's the kind of ideal number of paragraphs for a task
Yeah,
one?
I mean, I would say, like, for this one, as suggested today, 4 paragraphs. I mean, yeah, so really what we went through today, and yeah, you need all those paragraphs, really, I would say. I don't know, Jamie, what could you add anything to that?
Yeah, actually I can. On Friday, I went to a workshop in Edinburgh offered by British Council, and it was on the IELTS test delivered by British Council. And they, we had quite a big discussion about like the best number of paragraphs, and there were a couple of different, you know, answers. Basically, the structure that we've given you in this presentation, we said that's absolutely fine. You can use 4 paragraphs, an introduction, an overview, and 2 body paragraphs. That kind of structure is fine. We also said, you know, for some people, they like to write the introduction and the overview together as 1 paragraph. And after discussion, we agreed that that is fine as well. So 3 paragraphs there is also okay. Some teachers also recommend to write a short conclusion paragraph, like 1 sentence as a final kind of summary. And again, that is all right as well. You might want to include your kind of conclusion summary in the overview as a 2nd paragraph, and that's all right. Basically, the agreement was that there are different ways of organizing your answer. There's not just 1 correct way. As long as you have a logical structure, you know, you can get a high score for task 1. And the structure that we've shown you in this presentation is 1 approach. You know, it's if you stick with a structure, you should be fine, but it doesn't mean that other structures aren't also acceptable. Okay, so hopefully that will clear that up for you. Right. Cool. Let's see, we've got a few more questions here in the Q&A. This is a good question from Niet, who's asking, if I increase the length of my sentences or use advanced grammar, will this increase my score?
Well, I would say definitely using advanced grammar, so using more advanced constructions, that will increase your score. In terms of extending your sentences, so complexity in English doesn't always come from using long sentences. It's better to be including kind of nouns, sort of extended noun phrases for complexity. So not necessarily. But obviously using relative pronouns will kind of lengthen your sentences, and that makes it a more complex grammatical construction. So that would increase your score. So I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. You know, complex sentences, really, really good. Relative clauses, subordinating conjunctions, these are good ways to extend your sentence and increase the complexity as well. But as you said, Mary, you don't want to just be writing very, very long sentences, because these can be hard to understand and hard to do accurately. So it's also important to be accurate as well as trying to have some complex sentences in there. But yeah, you're definitely assessed on the range of your grammar as well as the accuracy. Excellent. Let's see. A question. It's a good question. I think possibly this is from you, Sherry. I'm not sure because the name is all in what I think is Chinese, but you're asking, can we use the contracted forms like I'm instead of I am in the writing? Is that okay to use in academic writing, task 1 or task 2?
Well, I mean, in task 1, you wouldn't. I don't think you'd be using I anyway. But no, you shouldn't. You should not use constructions. So constructions are more like an informal a feature of informal writing. So you would use the 2 words.
Yeah, definitely. One exception might be in task 1 for general training. If you have to write an informal letter, then you can use contractions there. But for academic, you shouldn't be using contractions at all. Cool. Great. Nyok, I'm glad you found the lesson useful. That's great to hear. Thank you. And let's see. Question from Laura here about the word count. If I write more than 150 words, like close to 200, will it affect my score in a bad way?
No, I think it's a good idea to write more than 150. So remember, 150 is the minimum, but it's all about time, really, because you need to leave enough time for task 2. So you don't want to jeopardize your chances of doing well in that one. So it's more about that. So just managing your time well, so devoting 20 minutes to task 1 and seeing how much you can write in that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that. I'm just seeing a request from Raja Sakar in the chat, Mary, to go back to the vocabulary page. So
I kept changing it. People were asking different things. So I was hang on, I'll try and go back to that.
Yeah, is that the one? Maybe the different.
I'm not sure which one it was. Hang on.
Yeah, is it about the different ways of describing change? So it's been built.
I think it was that. Hang on, let's just find that.
Cool. Yeah, we'll find that for you, Rajasekar. Don't worry. One sec. Let's see. In the meantime, a quick question from Tien. Yeah, I think this is probably the one, isn't it? Yeah. Let us know, Rajasekar, if we're in the right place, okay, or if it's something else you have in mind. Question from Tien, which I think I answered earlier. Can we put the overview in the last paragraph? Yes, Tien, you can. There are different ways to structure your answer, and if you put your overview in the last paragraph, that's okay, as long as it's there and it's, clearly indicated to the examiner. There's more than one way to structure an answer. Cool. So a question here from Debbie, which is about using perhaps. So does using perhaps show that we're not sure about what we write? So I think in the model answer, we've said something like perhaps the most important change is, the construction of a golf course. Is it okay to use that kind of hedging language? Yeah.
So, I think that's actually a really good question. Yeah, I mean, in terms of how important the changes are, so it's your point of view. I mean, there are a limited number of things you could mention. So it could be that somebody else would think of something else, would pick out something else. So because of that, I would say you can use hedging language. So words like perhaps, which sort of soften what you're saying. So you're not saying this is, there's no doubt about it, this is the most important change. It's like it probably is, but it might not be. There might be another one. So yeah. I think it's okay.
Yeah, I would agree. Exactly. It shows nice complexity in your writing. It's a feature of academic writing as well, that kind of hedging, like not so certain language. And it's not really that you're interpreting the graph. It's more that you're, showing some complexity in the way that you describe it. So yeah, I would say it's absolutely fine. I can see a question here about vocabulary, about being able to paraphrase. This is from Nida. Would the inability to think of synonyms lead to negative marking? So I guess if you're just copying the words from the question, you know, throughout your writing, would that affect your score?
It probably, well, it could do slightly. And remember that you're marked on, you have different criteria for IELTS. So one of them is lexical resource or vocabulary. And you need to show a wide range. So if you're not, you know, if you're not showing a wide range, or you're repeating words from the question, that would bring you down a bit in that area. But you can do well enough in the other areas to do it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add as well, because someone asked earlier, if I just copy the question directly, you will certainly lose marks for that. For anything that's just copied, like chunks of text that are the same, the examiner won't mark that as you're writing. So you'll lose marks because you won't have completed that part of the task if it's just been copied. So, you know, you don't need to change every word. You don't need to change even most of the words. But if you can find some synonyms, and yeah, Abiodun, if you want to reuse words, that's fine. You can repeat the same word. That's totally natural. But you should aim to, you know, paraphrase in places. You can change the word order. You can change the word form if you can't use synonyms. So yeah, hopefully that can help you there. Right, let's see. I can see a question about tense here in the Q&A, and also the chat from Mohammed Mustafa. So, or is it Mutaja, I think. There's asking, what kind of tenses can we use when describing the map?
Well, it kind of depends on the maps.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in this case, you've got one from the past and then one from the present. So you really need to look at when the years, basically. So if you've got anything in the present, you need to be using the present perfect. If there's one in the future, you need to be looking at future tenses. So it's really important that you understand when, you know, which year the maps relate to, basically.
Yeah. Related question here from Nicole, who's saying, if the map shows changes from the past, you know, to another point in the past, can we only use past simple? So say it's from, you know, 2001 map, and then another map's 2010. What kind of tenses could you use there?
In that case, you would use past simple. I'm just thinking you could possibly use past.
Yeah.
I don't think you could use past perfect there, could you?
I think you probably could. Yeah, you could say, you know, in the year 2000 there was a car park, but however, you know, by 2010 the car park had been demolished and a supermarket had been made or had been built. So I think, yeah, to describe that kind of change from the past to a later point in the past, I think you can use, past perfect there. So yeah. So yeah, I would suggest those two tenses, Nicole, for maps that are all in the past. And we have a similar question as well from the Selfie King. Okay, it's a bold claim, Selfie King. They're asking, what if the two maps are totally different? How to describe the situation?
Ooh. I think I would struggle with that as well. I mean, I don't think they'd be so different that you can't compare them, or you can't look at the changes, because it's all about change, really. It's more of a challenge, but they wouldn't ask you to do something that was impossible or that required, you know, a lot more time than 20 minutes to do. So I doubt that they'd be so different that you couldn't write about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. And Christina, similar question. Do we have to describe every change on the map?
Uh, no, you don't. Remember, it's the most significant changes. I mean, I think in this case, and I think we did describe, as far as I'm aware, we described all the changes.
Mm.
So you probably will be able to, but you don't have to. You don't absolutely have to.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that. It's about selecting the key changes and describing them. There might be just too many to describe, but obviously the more you can describe, the better generally. Okay, let's see, guys. We've got time for a few more of your questions. So before we answer a final few questions, just to let you know that you can watch this lesson again via our YouTube channel. I'm just going to put the link to that in the chat just now. That should be up on our channel tomorrow if you'd like to review. If you have any questions that we don't cover today, you can add them as comments on our YouTube channel. We do check them and we'll get back to you via YouTube. So don't worry if we don't get to your question today, you can still get in touch with us. All right. So let's see. This is a good question here. I can't actually see your name because my screen's frozen, but Elisa is asking, how much time do we recommend spending on the planning stage at the beginning? She also says, thank you very much for the lesson. So thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, Elisa. Gosh, I mean, I would probably say 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
It depends on you, really. You know, it's like, it depends on how you work. If it's easier to make a complicated plan and then write it, spend slightly longer. You need to figure it out for yourself, but I would probably suggest about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if it's worth spending that time really looking at the data, you know, especially for more complex like data, like a chart or a graph, it can take a while just to make sense of it, to understand what's being described and to identify the key features. So, you know, taking 4 to 5 minutes to study the data, decide what you want to write about, organize the main ideas and the details, and then start writing. You know, that can really speed up your writing if you have a detailed plan in place. So yeah, I would agree. I think 5 minutes should be enough for that. Also, Mushtaba, if we solve task 2 first, I saw a couple of questions about this, and same for you, Rafat. You don't need to, you can choose which one you solve first. If you tackle task 1 or task 2 first, depends on your preference, really. Some people like to start with task 2 because it's, you know, longer, they can focus on it straight away. We generally recommend people begin with task 1 just because it's kind of a bit more straightforward. You're just describing what you see rather than having to think of new ideas. And Rafa, if you have an hour for both tasks, so you won't be asked to move on. You decide how you manage the time, how you divide your time between task 1 and task 2. You won't be made to stop and move on to the next one. Okay. Great. I can see a question here from Hasbi. Will there be any webinar on task 2? There certainly will, Hasbi. We have a lot of lessons coming up over the next few weeks. If you check out our website, I'll put the link to the chat. You'll be able to sign up for future webinars there. Okay. And don't worry, if you missed the session, Alexis, you'll be able to catch it on our YouTube channel. Okay, so, right, guys, I'm afraid that is about all we have time for today's session. So I'd just like to say a very big thank you to Mary. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Jamie. Very welcome. Very welcome, everybody. Thank you for all the comments and questions.
Yeah. Cheers, thanks for that, and thank you guys, yeah, for joining us. hope you can join us for another webinar soon. You've got all the information there. If you can check out our YouTube channel, please give us a subscribe, please share it. It allows us to keep offering these webinars for free. So we really appreciate it. And yeah, glad you found it helpful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank
Cool.
you. I'll see you soon, everybody. Good luck
Okay.
with IELTS.
Yeah. Best of luck if you're taking your test soon. All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much, Mary. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jamie. Bye. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.